She looked at me. Her face was blank for a second. Then she did something weird. She smiled. Not her normal laugh so hard she snores smile. A different one, soft, quiet, like she was keeping a secret from me right in front of my face. She said, "Okay," just one word, "okay," and then she turned back to the TV like nothing happened. Like she hadn't just dropped a single syllable that would live in my head rent-free for the next 6 months. Now here's the thing about best friends. You think you know everything about them. You think you've mapped out all their corners. You know what makes them angry, what makes them cry, what song makes them dance in the kitchen at 2 a.m. But you don't actually know what they're thinking when you say something stupid. You never do. Because the truth is, the people closest to us are also the ones who hide the most. Not because they're lying, because they're protecting something. Or maybe they're protecting you. After that night, things got weird. Not bad weird, just different. She started texting me good morning every day. She never did that before. She started remembering small things, like how I take my coffee, 1 sugar, a splash of oat milk. She started showing up to my apartment with books she said reminded her of me, and every time I laughed it off. I told myself she's just being a good friend. I told myself I was imagining things, because admitting there might be more would mean opening a door. I was terrified to look behind. You see, I've always been the funny one, the one who deflects with jokes, the one who turns serious moments into punchlines because real feelings are scary. And Sarah? She's the calm one, the steady one, the one who listens more than she talks. So when she started acting different, I did what I always do. I made another joke. 3 weeks later, we were at a diner, the one with the sticky menus. And the waitress who calls everyone? I was mid-bite into a grilled cheese when Sarah slid an envelope across the table, a physical envelope, with my name on it, written in her handwriting. I laughed. After that night, things got weird. Not bad weird, just different. She started texting me good morning every day. She never did that before. She started remembering small things, like how I take my coffee, 1 sugar, a splash of oat milk. She started showing up to my apartment with books she said reminded her of me, and every time I laughed it off. I told myself she's just being a good friend. I told myself I was imagining things, because admitting there might be more would mean opening a door. I was terrified to look behind. You see, I've always been the funny one, the one who deflects with jokes, the one who turns serious moments into punchlines because real feelings are scary. And Sarah? She's the calm one, the steady one, the one who listens more than she talks. So when she started acting different, I did what I always do. I made another joke. 3 weeks later, we were at a diner, the one with the sticky menus. And the waitress who calls everyone? I was mid-bite into a grilled cheese when Sarah slid an envelope across the table, a physical envelope, with my name on it, written in her handwriting. I laughed. What's this, a bill? You kicking me out of the friendship? She didn't laugh back. She just said, read it when you get home. And that's the moment my stomach dropped. Because best friends don't give you letters. They send you memes. They tag you in TikTok. Videos at 11 p.m. They don't hand you paper like they're about to move away forever. So I did what she asked. I waited. I finished my sandwich. I pretended everything was normal. And then I went home, sat on that same stained couch, and opened the letter. Here's what it said. I remember every word because I've read it so many times. The paper is soft now. You said marry you as a joke. But I've been thinking about it every single day since. Not because I'm lonely. Not because I'm scared of being 40. But because you're the only person who has ever seen me all the way through. The good parts. The bad parts. The parts I don't even like. And you stayed. You made me grilled cheese at 1 a.m. when my dad got sick. You drove 4 hours just to pick me up when my car broke down on a highway no one's heard of. You remembered my favorite flower is Daisy, even though I only said it once, 5 years ago. So here's the thing. I'm not going to wait until we're 40, and I don't want it to be a joke. I want you to know that if you ever meant it, even 1% of it, I would say yes right now. Not because it's funny, because it's you. And if you didn't mean it, that's fine too. Just don't say things like that unless you're ready for someone to take you seriously. Love, Sarah. I sat there for an hour, maybe more. I wasn't crying. I wasn't laughing. I was just frozen, because she didn't just answer my joke. She took my dumb throwaway line and handed it back to me as a mirror. And what I saw in that mirror, I didn't recognize myself. Here's the problem I hadn't admitted yet. The real one. The ugly one. I did mean it. Not all the way. Not in the way she deserved. But some small, terrified part of me had meant it. And that was the problem. Because when you spend years hiding behind jokes, you forget how to be honest. You forget that the people who love you are actually listening. They're not just laughing with you. They're waiting for you to stop performing and just be real. I had spent 7 years building a wall made of sarcasm and distance. And Sarah? She didn't try to break it down. She just sat on the other side, quietly handing me notes through the cracks. And I never noticed. Not until she wrote me a letter that said, "I see you. And I'm still here." That's the part that welded my heart shut. Not the rejection. There was no rejection. She gave me an out. She said if you didn't mean it, that's fine too. She protected me even when she was putting her own heart on the line. That kind of gentleness, that's not something you find every day. That's not even something you find once in a lifetime. That's something you either grab with both hands or you lose forever. So what did I do? I drove to her apartment at midnight. I didn't text. I didn't call. I just showed up. She opened the door in her oversized sweater, the gray one with the hole in the sleeve. Her eyes were red. She had been crying. And I stood there holding her letter, and I said the only honest thing I've ever said in my entire life. I said, "I'm not joking anymore." She didn't say anything. She just stepped aside and let me in. Now here's the part I didn't expect. Saying that didn't fix everything. It didn't suddenly turn into a movie where music swells and we kiss in the rain, because real life doesn't work like that. What happened next was actually harder. We had to learn how to talk to each other without jokes. We had to sit in silence sometimes and just be uncomfortable. I had to unlearn the habit of deflecting every time things got real. And she had to unlearn the habit of waiting for me to leave. Because that's what people do, right? When you've been hurt before, you expect it to happen again. Sarah had been left. By friends, by family, by a guy in college who told her she was too much. So when I showed up at her door that night, part of her was probably waiting for me to laugh and say, "Gotcha," but I didn't. Here's a study you might find interesting. Psychologists call it emotional inertia. It's the tendency for your emotional state to get stuck, even when your situation changes. Basically, even when someone finally treats you right, your brain still expects the old pain to show up. It took us months to break that. Months of me proving I wasn't going to turn everything into a punchline. Months of her believing that she wasn't going to wake up and find me gone. But here's the thing about a heart that's been welded shut. Welding isn't breaking, it's fusing. It's taking two separate pieces of metal and melting them together so they become one. That's what her reply did. It didn't destroy me. It changed me. It took the part of me that was scared of being seen and the part of her that was scared of being left, and it fused them into something stronger. So where are we now? We're not married, not yet, but we live together. We have a plant that refuses to die no matter how many times I forget to water it. She still steals the blanket in her sleep. I still make bad jokes. But now, when I make them, she knows which ones are armor and which ones are real. And that honestly is better than any fairy tale ending. Because the point of this story isn't that I proposed and she said yes. The point is that I was too scared to say what I really felt. And she was brave enough to say it for both of us. She took a joke and turned it into a question. And I took that question and turned it into a home. So here's what I want you to take away. If you have a person in your life who makes you feel seen, not perfect, not put together, just seen, don't wait until 40. Don't hide behind jokes. And please don't hand them a letter and run away. But if you do, at least make sure you mean every word. Because some replies don't just answer a question. They weld your heart shut in the best way possible. If this story hit you somewhere soft, watch this next video about another friendship that changed everything. It's called The Text That Ruined My Friendship Forever. I promise, it's not what you think. Click right here.